I've seen that since university.
Welcome to McKnight Tonight. Now, here's Rob McKnight.
Hello and welcome to McKnight Tonight. It is a big week because on Wednesday we celebrate 50 episodes. Yes, they said we'd never make it, but they couldn't stop us because it's on the internet. And guess what? To celebrate, on Thursday at 10 p.m, I'm going to stream all 50 episodes back to back, meaning you can dip in and out. And if you're keen to see how the show has changed over those 50 episodes, Amanda, I'll have a glass of wine. I'll be sitting on the lounge all weekend just watching myself. Nothing new. God. Typical weekend. And it all kicks off with the pilot episode. So I was just having two thoughts there. We should call this 50 plus one because it's all 50 episodes plus the pilot. Now, this pilot episode isn't available online. You might remember, some of you, like Jeanette, will remember one night I literally just went live from my garage doing a McKnight Tonight pilot and got enough good feedback that I thought, yeah, I'm going to do this. And so you'll get to see that for all of those who missed it, because as soon as it finished, I took it offline. So make sure you subscribe to McKnight Tonight at the YouTube page, youtube.com/@McKnightTonight. And while you're there, feel free to become a paid subscriber. Each week you get Media McKnight as soon as it's ready to go. Didn't last week's episode cause a bit of there was a lot of commentary about it. I'll talk about that tomorrow. And each weekend I try to do a live video for members. This past weekend, members got to meet Jasmine. She came on here and had a chat about what she does as part of the show and what she thinks about all this. Maybe for the next one, Amanda will come on. No, it's a big shaking of head. Well, let's just leave it as a surprise, Amanda. Maybe Amanda will come on. Although we can't do it this weekend because the live stream will be going. I'll work something out. And for those who've been asking, yes, daylight saving, and it's saving without an S. Everyone, please note. And every time you hear a news journalist, reporter, presenter say daylight savings, know that they're wrong. Daylight saving will change things for the show. For those in New South Wales, Vic and Tasmania, nothing changes for you. We'll still be streaming at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That will be 8:30 still in Adelaide. But up here in Queensland, it will be at 8 p.m, an hour earlier. In the Northern Territory, it'll be 7:30 p.m. And in WA, it'll be 6 p.m. Or you can always watch the show back on demand, but we love people watching live because we love your feedback, which I will get to a little later. All right, here's what's coming up in this edition of McKnight Tonight. We're now being told it's unethical to have a baby because they can't give consent to being born. New stats show illegal tobacco more profitable to gangs than drugs. Meet the jazz singer described by the late, great Tony Bennett as perfection. And my rant comes after a trip to Woolies over the weekend. I'm fired up about that one. All that and plenty more in this edition of McKnight Tonight. Let's get into our hot topics. Well, after being told we need to get consent to change a baby's nappy, it now turns out that having a baby is unethical. A new ABC investigation has shone a spotlight on the philosophy of antinatalism, the belief that having children only adds to human suffering and worsens the climate crisis. Supporters of the concept also argue having a baby is unethical because it is imposing consciousness onto a new human who can't consent to the inevitable suffering humans experience. Despite Australia's fertility rate already at record lows, the movement argues that choosing to be child-free isn't just personal, it's a moral responsibility. Seriously, we're now being told we need consent to have a baby from the baby that isn't born because we're thrusting consciousness on them? I mean, if that's where we are, then we have no problems in this world. If this is really what we're talking about, nothing's a problem. Everyone's living a happy life. There are rainbows, there's unicorns, and there is nothing wrong with society. Because the moment we're saying to parents, you are unethical because you are forcing consciousness on producing a baby and giving that person life and therefore they are forced to suffer, we've lost the plot. I thought it was bad enough when you had to get consent to change a baby's nappy. I mean, this is what happens with people on the far left, right? This is why we see people like Charlie Kirk getting a lot of traction before his assassination, because people are fighting back against that extremism of opinion where everything we do is wrong. When you are now told having a baby is wrong because you are forcing consciousness on them, like seriously, you wonder why. You know, when Me Too came, everyone thought this was a changing and, you know, equality and everything like that. But the pendulum went too far the other way. And that's when people go, this is ridiculous, I'm not having. Wokeness killed the Democrats in the US. They went too far with it. And anyone on the centre left that doesn't agree with these hardliners is seen as part of the problem. And they're seen as being on the right. You know, there is a sensible centre for right and left, people skewing right and left and having certain beliefs, but it's these extremisms. And this is the same in the States. The States has to be very careful. And actually, the Liberal Party here is now looking at going to the far right. That will be a problem. I don't know why you think that's the solution when Labor won in such a convincing majority and Peter Dutton was pretty hard right. He was pretty tough on all that. And now the Liberal Party is saying, well, we need to be harder right. No, find where Middle Australia is. Most Australians are fair-minded people. And yes, they do think there's an immigration problem that's hurting the housing crisis or adding to the housing crisis. Doesn't make them racist. These labels that the left will throw on them. It doesn't mean those on the right need to go all the way and be like America and start having ICE raids. It just means people are seeing problems and they're looking for real solutions, not just this political guff. And when I see stuff like this, I really just think we have lost the plot. And this is why people will just stop paying attention to this stuff. They'll just rip it up. They'll see this stuff and go, no, not having a bar of it. It's ridiculous. Let me know your thoughts. Just leave a comment in the comment section of this video, especially at YouTube, but Facebook works as well. And tell me, am I overreacting? Because I just think it's crazy. Amanda, I will pick this up later.
Yeah, right.
All right. Hey, just for something different, I'm absolutely convinced politicians are stupid. They don't seem to understand that if you make something too expensive, people will look for alternatives. And sometimes that means buying illegal products. Now, the illicit tobacco trade is something I've talked about a few times here at McKnight Tonight, and an article in the Herald Sun just proves once again that McKnight is always right. I can't believe my voice cracked while I was saying the infamous line. Proves once again that McKnight is always right. A startling new report claims the illicit tobacco trade is now out-earning the illegal drug market in Victoria. Smuggled cigarettes, dodgy supply lines and gangs are allegedly raking in mega profits, all while evading taxes and enforcement. And politicians don't seem to understand why this is happening. Well, rather than having to explain once again, I'm going to replay what I said back in May. Have a look. Cigarettes are just too expensive. We've gotten to the point where successive governments keep putting taxes up on cigarettes. Now, of course, they're saying, and I believe it's true, the health issues, they want people to stop. The problem is we do live in a free society and a democratic society, and people have the right to smoke if they want. It's not illegal. But I'll give you an example. In Sydney, a packet of cigarettes, that's 20 cigarettes, typically costs around $40. So that is $2 a cigarette. And as you well know, and I've got a list of prices here, cigarettes, if you're buying a couple of packets or a carton, costs a lot more than that. So when people are facing a cost of living crisis and they don't want to give up their cigarettes, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to start buying it illegally. It's a legal product, but they're buying illegal versions of it or from illegal stores because they want it cheaper. It's just so simple. Now, the Herald Sun does point to a variety of reasons as to why gangs are focusing on illegal tobacco. They say high taxes on legal smokes have sent smokers en masse to the pirate retailers who are often selling at 1/3 the price of their competitors. It's nice for the Herald Sun to catch up. Their profit margins are extraordinary because of the comparative pittance paid for a product which is later blatantly sold from shops at huge markups. This is the Herald Sun talking about the gangs and why they're doing it. Less than 1% of sea cargo is checked, and crime gangs only need 1 in every 30 containers to get through to make a profit. That's extraordinary. So for every 30 containers, they just need 1 to get through and they make a profit. So if 2 or 3 get through, geez, they're laughing. And those busted smuggling illegal tobacco are punished for excise avoidance, which carries far lighter sentences than drug trafficking. So the risk is lower, but now the profits are higher. Now, I come back to it. The government needs to rethink its strategy, but we know what will happen. They'll say, well, we've got to stop people taking tobacco. People know the harms and spend money advertising the harms of taking tobacco. But until you make it illegal, then you have to accept that you've outpriced yourself. You have outpriced a product that people want but can't afford. And they're going to keep turning to the illegal trade, the illegal tobacco trade. And gangs have seen an opportunity here. They've seen a big money maker. And so they're the ones that are getting in on this system. So the government has effectively helped the gangs take off and make money. I'm sure it wasn't the outcome they wanted, but who would have the political strength and leadership to say, we've got a problem here, we're reducing the tobacco prices, because all the do-gooders would go, outrageous, you can't do that, you can't do that, because what's happening is not solving the problem and it's helping the gangs. So congratulations. That's what you've achieved. Bring the prices down. I'm not a smoker. This doesn't affect me in the slightest. I just hate seeing stupidity. And I feel like Neo in the Matrix. I can see what the problems are. Just listen to me and just do it. Life would be better. And then we can have arguments about not bringing kids into the world because we're not getting their consent from consciousness, because then there are no other problems. If you listen to McKnight, who's always right, the world would be a better place. Wouldn't it?
Here comes McKnight tonight.
All right, let's do this. Now, I know you all know that I'm a reasonable man. It's written all over my face. Reasonable Rob, they call me. Don't know why they say Rob's Rant. It's Reasonable Rob. But I went to Woolies on Friday night to get a few wines, but also while I was there, Amanda said, oh, could you get some ham and a few other items? Every time I go down to the shops, there's always a few extra items that need to be got. But sure enough, I went in. And anyway, some ham's on sale. So I went up to the deli. It was lovely. I said, oh, I'll get that ham, thanks. 400 grams of that ham. And he said, he looked, there was a pittance of ham in there. And he said, oh, can't do it. I said, why? He said, oh, the slice has been cleaned. And I thought to myself, well, I would have hoped it would be cleaned, but okay. And he said, oh, it's all sterilised. We can't do it. Now, this was at 6:30 at night on a Friday. The store didn't close until 9 p.m. Is it unreasonable of me to think the guy should not be closing the deli slicer at 6:30? Am I being unreasonable for thinking this is bloody ridiculous? I don't know why you can think it's okay to close basically you're serving, you're there at the deli, slice some meat. Shouldn't the thing be cleaned after every slice anyway? I don't want my salami mixed in with my ham. They're two different tastes. So aren't you cleaning it every time anyway? Just worry if you're not. But it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous to think that you cannot go to Woolies at 6:30 at night, 2.5 hours before it closes, and you cannot expect to get some ham sliced. Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. That's Rob's rant. Oh, I need those notes. Don't throw away the notes, Rob. You need those. Hey, coming up, you are going to meet a fantastic jazz musician. He's Australian, but he's got this wonderful note from Tony Bennett, who found him and just sang his praises. He's worked with some amazing people in Las Vegas and done residencies. He's really, really good. There's another story that's caught my attention today that I will bring you. But first, we'll do some feedback and, yeah, we'll have a random live shot of the day.
It's the random live shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random live shot of the day.
Yes, it is time. We love this time of the night. It is time for the random live shot of the day. And tonight we are in Maine in the USA. This is one of the most iconic peaks in New England, the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail. The live cam gives us a window into the rugged wilderness, the shifting clouds, the mist over the ridges, and the silence that speaks of wild places far from city limits. Temperature-wise, it's going to hit a top of 22 degrees today after a overnight low of 8, and that is beautiful. I saw this earlier tonight, and the stars were out, and it was beautiful, and now we're getting the sunrise coming over. Just fabulous stuff. You could always let me know if there's a random live shot of the day you want, if there's a place you want me to take you, and I can try and search it out. Can't always promise that we'll be able to make it work. We can give it a go there. All right, let's have a look at some feedback coming through to McKnight tonight. Justine says a huge congratulations on 50 episodes. Rob, Amanda and Jazz, amazing work. Thank you, Justine. It's people like you that keep us going. Travis says, of course the 50th is Wednesday, the one night I can't watch live. Whatever you're doing, Travis, finish your plans, cancel them. If it's work, whatever. Come here and be part of the McKnight Tonight celebrations, or you might just miss out. All right, over the page we go. Matthew says, isn't ethics just personal beliefs? Yes, absolutely, Matthew. But people like to put their ethics onto other people. That's always the thing. Jeanette says, oh my God, really? The baby say they want to be born. Give me a break. We're already losing reality. Yes, this is on the babies. It's unethical to have babies because they can't consent to consciousness. Seriously. Own Your Crazy says, I didn't consent to such far-fetched ideas. I like that. We've got this one from Jeanette. Aren't humans supposed to populate? For those who can. If we don't, the human race will disappear. So true, so true. What else have we got there, Jasmine? Just found the ABC article from 2018 with the same headline. Well, that's interesting, Matthew, because that baby one was definitely on their Instagram feed today. That's how I found it. I'm going to go and find out if they've been reusing old articles. That's an interesting one. Own Your Crazy. Which way Rob leans politically depends upon which bum cheek goes numb first. Well, I would like to say, that's the thing about me. I'm not easy to predict on each issue. Because I'm a centrist, I will veer to the left and right, and I don't just go, well, I've got to support the Liberal Party, I've got to support the Labor Party. I make decisions on the issues. That's why you're always right with McKnight. All right, Restoration Archive says, the government will end up just going to war on it. This is on the tobacco, which will cost even more money. Either that or they just deny it's happening, which is what they are doing. Yeah, and the gangs are making a mozza. That stat where it said they just need one cargo container to get through, and they've made all their profits. Jeanette, I love this one. Rob for PM. That's a message I can support. You'll be right with McKnight, Jeanette. Travis says, I wish I could cancel work. I wish you could too, Travis. I wish you could too. All right. Thank you for all your feedback. I will get to more of it shortly right here on McKnight Tonight. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Well, it's the case that sparked public outrage. A father convicted of sexually abusing his 5-year-old daughter has been sentenced to just 2 years in prison. According to The Australian, the sentencing judge cited a number of mitigating factors in the decision, including the offender's gender identity struggles, the influence of an online master, and concerns about how he would fare in prison. So just to be clear here, the judge accepted that his transition to being a woman reduced his moral culpability and therefore gave him a shorter sentence, and he raped his child. That's what we're talking about here. I don't care if you're male, female, something else. You don't get a shorter sentence because you are dealing with your sexuality. How dare this judge think it is okay to basically treat the child? This was the father of the child. How is this child getting justice if her father, the person who did this to her, gets a shorter sentence because he's struggling with his sexual identity? There's many things I would support in this world, but when you inflict harm on others, I don't give a shit what your reasons are. This is absolutely outrageous. This needs to be appealed. You cannot say that we are in a situation where you can... I'm going for the script because I want to read this again. The sentencing judge cited a number of mitigating factors in the decision, including the offender's gender identity struggles and the influence of an online master. So what happened? This deviant had a master online who told this person to rape his daughter and film it and give it to the master. It's a horrible case, but it's made even more horrible by these do-goody judges who, you know, sometimes there's reasons for leniency, but just because you've got some mental health issues in this or any area does not make it okay for you to inflict harm on other people. I'm a big advocate. Anyone who's watched McKnight Tonight knows I'm a big advocate on mental health. But there is a problem when it inflicts on other people. I think this dropped on the Herald Sun this afternoon, late this afternoon. I think this is going to be making a lot of news in the coming days. And I really hope something gets done about it because the Labor government in Victoria, they're running away from the situation. The Premier won't talk about it. A half-assed statement was put out. No, things have to change. That's for sure. All right, I'll have more of your feedback shortly. Keep it coming in. And I'm sure, for a big change of pace, I'm sure we can have a bit of fun at the end of the show. But first, an interview I recorded earlier today.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Well, imagine having the late, great Tony Bennett say this about you. I love the way you sing. You're yourself, which makes you an original singer. Your phrasing is perfection. Those words were about my next guest, Greg Arthur, a man endorsed by the biggest names in jazz with songs like this.
Just you and I, we're watching the lights with you in my arms. It's a beautiful night.
Greg Arthur, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mate, it's a pretty good day at the office when Tony Bennett is singing your praises like that.
Yeah. It's like getting praise from the Pope if you're a Catholic, certainly.
It certainly is. And I actually have the full letter here which shows it wasn't just that he said. He actually wrote you this lovely letter with his autograph at the bottom. How did you feel when you received that?
Very humbled. I got to meet him through working with some brilliant musicians in the United States, Vinnie Falcone, Tom Rainier, Clayton Cameron. And I was honored to be working with them while I was over there in various shows and at various clubs. And Mr. Bennett just got wind of what I do. And I think he was surprised that an Australian loved this music so much, because it's really America's classical music.
Yeah.
They call it the Great American Songbook. And he really enjoyed the way I interpreted the music myself and wasn't trying to copy anybody. He appreciated that.
Well, you mentioned Vinnie Falcone. You did a Las Vegas residency with him. He was Frank Sinatra's musical director. I can only imagine the stories he had to tell over a few drinks.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? The most interesting thing I can tell you about Vinnie was that the first time I worked with him, he was very tough because I was filling in for somebody. I don't know who was sick. Somebody couldn't turn up, and I got recommended, and he didn't really want to know me. Somebody from Australia.
Of course, you were the fly-in.
I was the fly-in, and somebody from Australia couldn't possibly know these songs properly, but I proved him wrong, and we had a great time, and we became instant friends. And later on, we were rehearsing for something, I think a big convention at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and it was going to be orchestra and horns. And he went through the orchestrations with me, sat at the piano. I sat on the stool with him, and he was telling me, well, with Frank, we used to look at the high notes and the low notes and then work out what was going to be the longest note and where we should hold the orchestra back and where we should come in full force. And he just talked about what he did to work with Frank to prepare for a show. And I found that invaluable.
And you're having that experience, which is amazing because you have worked with some amazing names, including Bobby Darin's musical director, Rob Rosario, Tony Bennett's pianist, Tom Rainer. What is it like working with this caliber of people?
Well, it's a great honor. I'm always humbled by it, but I've also put in a hell of a lot of work in my time, and so it comes across as a mutual respect thing. I'm lucky enough to say that we come in as equals when we're working together. It's not like they're training me for something.
Yes.
But it's always very humbling. It was the same with our own maestro Tommy Tico. That was always so much fun, and he was a dear friend, and I miss him very much. There's the wonderful Peter Locke, one of the world's best vocal accompanists.
And I mean, he is brilliant. There's a part that I don't think we've got as part of this clip where he does a little bit of a solo, and it's just beautiful. But you've got your stage presence. You look very much at home on the stage.
Always very relaxed. Sometimes people talk to me about being nervous, and I think that the thing I've got going for me since I was very young, working with Julian Lee, great Australian jazz pianist, actually a New Zealander, but he was...
if they're good, we claim them.
We claim them, yes, like Russell Crowe.
That's
yes,
right.
and Sam Neill. I think that when you're prepared and you know exactly what you're doing and you've just got to get the job done, then I never get nervous. I only get nervous if I don't know what's going on.
Well,
that's always terrifying.
Yeah, I understand that. But you've had such a successful career, but it was almost cut short when you were diagnosed with leukemia. How did that diagnosis change your life and get you to where you are now?
Well, at first I tried to ignore it, and I didn't tell anybody that I was sick. and that was a huge mistake in retrospect. What I tried to keep going in the United States because I was enjoying the work and there was a lot of it, and my ego did not let me just say, okay, I've got to take a year off and work this out.
So you kept trying to work.
I did, and I kept trying to work in the United States, which is a double whammy, really, because the healthcare system over there.
I was about to
is
say medical insurance.
Very, very tough. And my insurance that I had as an expat working over there did not cover this. So it was a very expensive thing, but the expense is nothing. I'm alive now thanks to Dr. Sam Milliken, who's now a dear friend at the Kinghorn Institute at the Sydney Hospital. And I owe him so much, and I'm very healthy now and touring and getting back out there. And but for a while it was very dodgy.
And I can see the effect it still had on you. I can see the emotion that as soon as I mentioned it, it was almost like the memories came rushing back.
I'm very, very lucky to be so healthy. Yeah.
Well, and now you are still doing what you love, and you are performing this Thursday. You'll be on the stage at Jazz at the Lounge at 7:30 p.m. at the Concourse. What can people expect from this performance?
This is, I think, Sydney's most beautiful venue for cabaret and jazz, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's a 300-seat theatre at Chatswood Concourse called The Lounge, and it's just so perfectly set out, tiered level seating with little tables for a drink, a magnificent stage, a great quality piano, sound system, everything. It's so nice. And I get to perform at this one a mixture of my favorite standards ever written by Rodgers and Hart. You're listening to My Funny Valentine. Cole Porter, George and Ira Gershwin, alongside of songs that I've written that have been inspired by their beautiful writing. I've been writing since I was about 18 or 19 years old, and I always trying to strive to create beautiful songs that stand up to these classics by these men and women. So I'm looking forward to putting that mixture together, a kind of a half and half show of classic standards and brand new songs of mine.
Well, you can certainly hear that influence in your original music, which those songs are just great as well. So congratulations on an amazing career. You can get tickets to see Greg Arthur live in concert by going to theconcourse.com.au. It really does look like a terrific night. Greg, thanks for joining us on McKnight Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, what an interesting interview. I reckon that'd be a show worth going to. Let's take a look at some feedback coming through to McKnight Tonight. And Jeanette says, as far as a back-end... sorry, I've got back-end quickies on the mind. As far as a random live shot of the day, Rob, can we... Sorry. I don't know where they came from. Rob, can we do a random shot of the day in Edinburgh? Yes. Okay. Can someone write that down? Because you know I'll forget. I'll write it here, but these scripts get chucked out at the end of that. Recycled. Jason says... Yes, you're ridiculous. It's like going to a cafe at 3 p.m. and they give you paper cups instead. My experience at 3 p.m. should be no different to 9 a.m. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm catching up. That was my rant about the ham. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your support on that. Travis, the delis close at 8 p.m. an hour before close. It's the same across the country, but 6:30 is a joke. Yes. Yeah, I see. That's the thing, Travis. I could have handled... an hour. Now, I would have said half an hour to 45 minutes, but I don't know. I would have accepted an hour, but 6:30? Come on. Own Your Crazy says, no, I don't believe it's unreasonable. There is plenty of pre-packaged sliced ham in store anyway from the deli. Hands, anyone? No, I don't want the pre-packaged. They had a good deal going on that they advertised, and I wanted the ham in the deli. Bloody hell. Someone said, I'll read this one first. Restoration. Someone said, "Oh, Amanda,
What are you doing?
I'm trying to go with you." It's like left or right, left or right. Someone said on the feedback that I've lost my train of thought. That everything's been a rant tonight except Rob's rant. Oh, is that coming up? Have I jumped it? Oh, apparently that. Jasmine just... Anyone with parents will know this. I'm saying that, and Jasmine looks at me like this. And I went, I've stuffed up. I know I have. Shall we just call it a day, Jazzy? Stop it. All right, Restoration Archive. They should have considered his mental illness and giving him more. These free rides for trans is just going to make people hate all of them. Yeah, that's the point. Absolutely. There are bad people in all sections of society. Trans, straight, gay, whatever, right? Good and bad everywhere. And to give special consideration just because you're trans, absolutely not. Jeanette, what are you saying? I agree. Abuse to a child is abuse. Yes, Jeanette, completely agree with you. Over the page we go. And Own Your Crazy says, WTF, want to see my moral identity issue? Bite me, you bastard judge. Yep, couldn't agree more. Over the page we go. Matthew says, I don't want to make light of the horrible story, but Rob's rant has been the only part of the show he didn't read. That's the one I preempted. Sorry. Nicole says, that judge needs to be held accountable. Yes, absolutely. And there should be. Judges need to represent how the community feels. They should be reflective. Own Your Crazy says, what would Tony Bennett have known about jazz singing? Everything. Love, 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 love. Restoration Archive says, put that music on and a bottle of wine with a nice lady and watch what happens. Okay, maybe I don't want to watch what happens. Ginger Meg says, that's a fancy jacket, is it? Oh. Well, a new T-shirt, though. New T-shirt to go with it. I thought I'd met... Beck the other night was having a go at me being dark all the time, but I had this one. I've worn this from time to time, so I thought I'd try it with this T-shirt. There you go. Now, look, before we go tonight, I reckon... Can we do it, man? Can we have a back-end quickie? Ooh, lucky no. Are you up for it? Well, this is from the latest episode of Booty and the Beasts, which dropped today. And this is what happened. And prepare yourself. I'm glad it's at the end of the show. This is what happened when we were talking about the pros and cons of having a circumcised penis. Oh, yeah. It's all highbrow on Booties and the Beasts. Have a look.
Well, Reggie, do you care if the little fella's wearing a helmet?
Not really. Well, yes and no. I've been with both. I have been with people who are, got a bit of a... Well, they end up getting dick cheese when it's not, clean.
So if they clean themselves, Reggie.
No. And it's like... Yeah, so I do prefer the cleaner kind of look, especially if it's going in your mouth,
That episode of Booty and the Beast is available on all your podcasts. You can also catch it on YouTube at youtube.com/@BootyAndTheBeast. As I said, you can find it in your favourite podcast feed, and if you are watching it on your podcast, you can actually see the video of it as well. I discovered that today. Everybody probably knows this. But yeah, I was listening to it just to have a check of it on Apple Podcasts and could watch the video. And the video is well worth a watch. All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of McKnight Tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow is Media McKnight. Members, if you're a paid member of the McKnight Tonight YouTube page, you get early access as soon as it's ready. There's a lot to discuss, especially after last week's where I declared TV dead. We'll cover that and a lot more tomorrow on Media McKnight. And then we are back live on Wednesday for our 50th episode. It's going to be filled of, well, actually, it's just going to be a normal episode. You know me, I'm not likely to do anything outrageous for a 50th, am I? No. All right, we'll see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Until then, it's good night from McKnight.
Tonight, McKnight tonight, McKnight tonight. It's good night from McKnight tonight.